Welcome to lesson 223. God is my life. I have no life but his. So that's funny. I have no life. Everyone knows this. I was mistaken when I thought I lived apart from God, a separate entity that moved in isolation, unattached and housed within a body. Now I know my life is God's. I have no other home, and I do not exist apart from him. He has no thoughts that are not part of me, and I have none but those which are of him. So this lesson moves you into a knowingness that you are part of God. God is your life. You have no life but his. Our Father, let us see the face of Christ instead of our mistakes. For we who are your holy Son are sinless. We would look upon our sinlessness, for guilt proclaims that we are not your Son, and we would not forget you longer. We are lonely here and long for heaven, where we are at home. Today we would return. Our name is yours, and we acknowledge that we are your Son. So this lesson is going to be ginormous, a ginormous leap. If this is like, you're like, what? Part of my brain's kind of like, what? Like, we are your Son. You know what I mean? Because you probably maybe didn't think like this your entire life. And now you're asking to have God in your life as God as your life. So now, once again, if God is a trigger word for you, how does source sound? Source is my life. I have no life but source. I have no life but source. So if God's, one of your words, keep doing your forgiveness work on that word, on the Father connection, But so try this. Our source, let us see the face of Christ or Christ consciousness instead of our mistakes. So sit with it, be open with it. God is my life. I have no life but his. And that's why we keep on making videos. For lesson 223, Tina Jesus said, the ego's not going to like the sound of any of this stuff. The ego wants to be in charge. It wants to have reign over everything, and it definitely wants to control you. So that's what the ego wants. But what you want is to remove fear and understand yourself more. So that's why these A Course in Miracles lessons, 365 lessons, will help clarify your mind. That's not to say that it's going to be a complete clarification process by the end of the 365, but wow, you will have a more of a knowingness, a deeper understanding, and also acceptance. You will know that your purpose here is to have a deep surrender to what is. Your purpose here is forgiveness. Your purpose here is clarification of your mind, and also to connect to a very deep, loving guidance. So with your clear mind, after you do the clarification process, then you use your free will to connect, to decide, to use discernment. What would you like to participate in? And after you do your clarification of your mind, and even now in the middle of this process, you recognize that you are happy more of the time. So 365, keep on going. Clarify your mind. You might have to do a couple years of it. I mean, this one seems to be the doozy for me, only because, opening up A Course in Miracles and reading the lesson and thinking about it all day is one thing. Making a video about it to share, to discuss, to reflect, like that does take a little bit more effort on my part. I mean, honestly, not that much more effort. Like I have mentioned before, making a video every day holds me accountable to my commitment to do the lessons. Works for me. Will I have to like restart the lessons for the next new year? Well, I hope definitely to complete the lessons in a timely manner. Mainly because like I do feel done making the videos. We're on lesson 223, so I have a ways to go to complete this project. I mean, in a way, like it doesn't matter if I finish or drop this project, but it does because like I said I wanted to do it. So like I feel like I will feel a sense of accomplishment when I do it, but then I also have to watch it. Maybe that was just, I don't know. It's good for me to talk about the lessons. Like it's good for me to sit and share the lessons, introduce the lessons, because like for today's one, I can see where I'm actually at on that lesson. Like, do I actually believe God is my life? Where am I at with 223? God is my life. I have no life but his. Do I really, truly align with that? Or does my ego step up and be like, well, that's fine, but we're still going to the gym. We're still going to make money. We're still going to sin. Ego, how dare you? So let us see the face of Christ instead of our mistakes. That could be directly related to, a person in your life. See the Christ instead of that mistake you made with that person. Don't guilt yourself. Don't feel bad. There's a lot of good little tidbits with the lesson. But, the other component of these afternoon ACIM videos is the pathways of light. So I can sit and kind of think about what this lesson means to me, but the reflections and the insights from a pathwaysoflight.org are completely golden to me because I love the perspective that other people give to this course, and it makes me think, oh yeah, that definitely applies to me too. So that's what I do. Pathwaysoflight.org. Welcome to the reading, A Course in Miracles Workbook Lesson 223, Insights. God is my life. I have no life but his. Today's lesson is leading us to a new definition of life. In this world, human life is defined as a body that can breathe, its heart is beating, and brain is functioning. But this lesson says that our real life is only the life we have in God. Our life is God's life. We have no thoughts apart from him, and his thoughts are ours. There is nothing here about a physical body. To fully grasp this meaning of life requires a radical shift in perception. We must recognize that only God's thoughts are real, and our only real thoughts are the thoughts we think with him. The thoughts I seem to think as I look through the body's eyes and label images as trees and water and sky are really only hallucinations. They are not real thoughts. They are image making. God is not an image that can be defined by form. God is a thought which cannot be limited by an image. Perhaps most radical of all to our ego-based thought system is the idea that we are thought, not form. In this world, all our thoughts are tied to one way or another to images. To recognize what we are in truth, we must learn to disregard the images and give them no meaning. This is very difficult for us if we believe our identity is defined by our form, which is the case for most of the people in the world. A vast portion of our resources is invested in clothing and painting the body to make it more appealing and to protect it from harm. But the body is not what we are. We are God's thought. As I practice this idea, I become more and more aware of the many ways I put time and thought and effort into maintaining body identification. This is not limited to just the things I do to keep the body healthy, clothe it, and house it. It is also about how I think of others and what others do. If I think one person is more successful than another, or I feel sad because I see someone who is having difficulty in their worldly experience, these are ways of keeping my belief in individual identities in place. The truth is, there is no difference between me and everyone, for we are all the same thought in God's mind. We are one as God's thought. As I move my awareness more in this direction, my life becomes simpler. Less effort is put into having special things or looking a special way. More and more, my attention is on seeing the light in every brother to see the face of Christ in him. There is less and less a sense of difference and more a sense of unity. As I remember that God is my life and I have no life but His, I am able to rest in His peace. Part of the process of my waking up is to recognize my mistaken thoughts. This lesson reminds me that when I think I am living a life apart from God, it is not true. I have no life apart from God. This life I think I am living as a separate person is just a mistaken idea. Unless I come to realize that my thoughts are mistaken, I will not lay them down. And it is only when I lay them down that I become aware of the real thoughts I think with God. I cannot have both my mistaken thoughts and real thoughts at the same time, for they are opposite in every way. Jesus is there for all of us to help us recognize the mistaken ideas and let them go. He remembers our true identity for us while we are forgetting, and there is to remind us of the truth as soon as we will let Him. There is only one life, and that is the life I live in God. My practice today is to remember this and extend the love I feel from my true home to everyone I see or even think of. Today is truly a happy day. Today is my first real day back to work after vacation and after my ordination. I started wishing this weekend that I didn't have to go back. I wished I could stay home and write and pray and distribute my flyers and be a full-time minister. I wished this even though I knew I wasn't ready for that. If I did that full-time at this point, I would be through in about 2 days. I am still learning and growing and allowing time for things to fall into place. As I read today's lesson, I remembered it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. Every minute, everywhere is an opportunity to practice my ministry. It makes me happy to think of bringing love and comfort to all of my customers and each person I drive past and every clerk and every store I stop to buy gas from along the way. I don't have to do or say anything special to do this. As I use this time to practice setting aside my false thoughts and recognizing instead the thoughts I think with God, then I am serving the awakening. My attitude and my words will reflect these new thoughts, and I will be serving the awakening. This is my ministry, and it goes where I go. pathwaysoflight.org. So that's definitely reassuring. You don't have to do anything extra special. You just need to Do all the work, all the awakening work inside your mind, and let yourself be guided to where you're supposed to be, and where you are is where you are, I guess, supposed to be. So that should help everybody when they go back to work on Monday or tomorrow or in 5 minutes. Your ministry goes where you are. Your light goes where you are. You can do this work anywhere. You can change your thoughts anytime, anywhere, any place. You can start to recognize the face of Christ in anyone, even people you think of. They don't even have to be right in front of you. Do the work. Do the work, absolutely. And today, take with you lesson 223. God is my life. I have no life but his. So if I am thinking ego thoughts, those buggers aren't even real. They're total opposite of the thoughts that I think with God. So I just have to understand I was mistaken when I thought I lived apart from God, right? When I thought I was all alone, that was just a mistake. Now I know that my life is God's, and that's where my home is. And that's that. So anyways, that's what this lesson is essentially. So let's see the face of Christ, look upon our sinlessness, look upon everyone else's sinlessness, and today we would return to our home in heaven. But we have to acknowledge that we are the Son of God, the sonship. We're all in this together. So anyways, on that note, slam it and get going, and you're doing fabulous.